Hi everyone, welcome to Role Model Rebels. Today we are here with a
Hi,
fantastic speaker, Violet Benson, who's a digital strategist for emerging tech and the founder of DAO Network. Hi Violet,
hi, Anu. Thanks for having me here.
lovely. So where should we start? Should we start at how your career started with all of what you're doing today?
Yes, sure. Um, I started out as a content marketer, right? So I was interning at a tech startup, and I did like a lot of everything actually as an intern, right? Content marketing, experiential marketing, physical marketing, essentially. I was through a door-to-door salesperson trying to get people on board. And at the time, I was also building my first ever app. This is when I just finished high school and I just wanted to get something done and like just see the world before I like got into university essentially. Um, and so when I got there, I started taking content marketing seriously as a career. And as time went on and I took this seriously as a career, not just as something to bring food on the table, right? Like usually people just get things done for the paycheck. I started noticing that there were other things that I was getting better and better at, um, like digital marketing, for example, or events coordination and organization, for example. I was coordinating hackathons. I was doing um, radio um, radio presentations at the time. And so these were things that I noticed that really helped brands grow, and which is why I decided to sculpt this digital strategist slash digital marketing title because I feel like these days it goes beyond just digital marketing. Like digital marketing is important. Well, we've established the importance of digital marketing right now, especially in the Web3 space. It would be best for us to focus on how to get like for mass adoption, how to connect people on chain is usually to go off chain and connect with them through different experiences that go beyond just immersive or digital experiences. So yeah, that's everything in a nutshell.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
and what are the differences that you see which are quite large between Web 2 and Web 3 today in the digital marketing space? Or do you find a lot of similarities?
Well, there are tons of similarities with the fact that this is just another form of we getting things done essentially for our lives, our businesses, just mostly another form of technology and innovation coming into play here. The only difference is we are the pioneer era, so we don't have enough data. We're the ones creating the data that, other people would use to look at how to progress this tech. But if we can look futuristically, which is something that we thought leaders and trendsetters tend to do, look beyond just um, the space, look out of the box. For example, when people say, "Oh, how has it been like for you in the Web3 space?" And like these words you use to describe the space are what gives people a certain perception about it. We're not in the Web3 space. It puts it in a box. It's just like saying, what's it like for your business in the social media space and make it seem like it's different from offline. Social media is just a medium to get people to do things. At the end of the day, if you go on social media and order a bag or something, you'll be getting that offline. I mean, with
Yeah,
Web3, the
yeah.
difference is that you now sell digital products like NFTs and things like that are being used to make actual money, right? And I think we saw that in Web 2 as well. It wasn't just as integrated as it is here in Web 3. So I
Yeah.
would say
With
there are lots
also
of
the
similarities.
decentralization of, and also
Exactly,
the creators economy and bringing that aspect, in a more complete way.
exactly. So I would say We just need to learn how to think about it as something we can use to improve on standing or existing structures and existing problems, use a solution, not figuring out how we fit into it, but figuring out how it fits into our needs, right? So that's a thing we need to be looking out for.
And so, like you said, we need to figure out how this concept, of this kind of marketing fits into us, into our needs who are in this emerging technology space. According to you, what are the
Mhm,
best practices do you feel that work with this? Because, the ethos of, Web3 is different to how Web2 worked, in terms of marketing.
mhm.
There are some differences, right? So, are there any best practices that people, or let's say content creators, or let's say founders, or organizations should look into?
Yes, community. And I think we figure it out fast. What we need to figure out is how best to use communities because there are a lot of people that are just echo chambers. Just say, oh, community, and I gather a community, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
So we need to
yeah,
figure out how to use community as a medium to help us really integrate this whole technology to help with mass adoption.
yeah.
With the internet, so many people had to learn by themselves slowly. I said about communities, right? We already figured it out. We just have to figure out how best to use communities to our advantage for mass adoption, right? The whole purpose of communities now in Web3 is helping for the fast adoption of the technology. But thought leaders and trendsetters have to be intentional about the message they're passing because it's all about passing a message. It's all about making
Yes,
people understand, like I said, like this is something that is a solution that can be a solution. So figure out how we can use it as a solution to our problem as opposed to um, looking for things that would fit around the technology. We created the technology, so we have to, we shouldn't be waiting for the technology to catch on to our expectations, right? We need to think about the best ways to do that. And like I said, people are already, for example, DAOs, like the DAO network is a DAO, and we're using that to teach people how to like incorporate this innovative technology, not just by staying in the space and boasting of using the latest technology, but actually making solutions to that. Let me give you an example of how we're trying to use that at the DAO network. So at the DAO network, we connect world-class African talents with global brands and businesses. And the reason for that is because of the economy this period. Everyone's complaining about the economy, like everywhere. There's no grass is greener at the point. At this point, like climate change is really
yeah,
affecting all
yeah,
the
yeah,
grasses
yeah,
in every sense of the word, right?
yeah.
But now there's an untapped market in Africa that I discovered as a result of, being based here. And that would essentially help the rest of the world because it's like, oh, here are people that could mutually benefit from, you know, they could help you get things done, but at a mutually beneficial rate. Like it's nothing too expensive. If marketing budgets are being slashed down, you know that you can always get talents here that could do the work. I don't want to say for less of the pay, but that's exactly what it is, for much less of the pay than it would be on international standards. But according to the standards here, it is not below par, because most of the countries here are like third world countries, and um, most of those things virtually relate to it's standard here. So, but how we're doing that now is by bringing people together and teaching them this is how to exhibit world class talent while you're here in Africa, so that you can be hireable, right? And so bringing that together, and we are using this Web3 technology to categorize these people based off of different factors. It could be based off of your interests, based off of your certificates, based off of your participation in the DAO community, right? Because all of these things add up to hard skills and soft skills. Like it's really like a full-blown algorithm on its own on how to pick the best talents, right? So if we go about nitpicking like this and saying, oh, you're not very engaging in the community, it means that you're not this, you're not that, it would take a lot of time. So using technology like blockchain, we can be able to track all these things, can be able to track participation, can be able to track um, things like how many years you've been in the industry, what it's like, and even down to payments. So if we're saying everything is transparent, what you're getting paid is transparent, and what the community is getting back is also transparent, people are more likely to trust this technology, right? Based off of this um, based off of this technology. Because ideally, and I know this may not make any sense, but here in Africa, much of there's not much of accountability and tracking, and that's why it's like they're mostly third world countries here, and so people have become accustomed to not trusting organizations, not trusting agencies that are supposed to be working in their best interest, quote unquote, right? So how do you motivate them? How do you get them to trust this? It's by using technology like this that shows transparency for every single thing we're doing. Yeah, that's just an
and and
example.
and that I think is very important because throughout globally, depending, doesn't matter where you're coming from, we are becoming,
Yeah,
online versions, of identities, and that is very important for us to build that
exactly.
trust and authenticity. And I think
Exactly.
Web3 does that in a lot of way. I think it
Exactly.
also forces people to acknowledge that trust, because when you're using a wallet address, you don't know that person, right? But
Yes.
I think that's really really important. Yeah. To one of our last questions, you've talked about, let's say, the opportunities, the challenges, how things are working. What are the trends that do you see evolving more within the digital space? One, and what do you think are your future directions as a founder for the Down Network?
Okay. One of the things that I see developing in this space is the voice of the people, which is why community has become like so sought after this period. And so I predict that social capital is going to be the next form of capitalization, if not going on already. We can see it with brands succumbing to what like users are saying. For example, a brand like Vogue, for the first time in over 100 years, did an open casting. They haven't done this in over 100 years, but they had to because that was the trend. Everyone was talking about inclusivity this year, right? Gen Zs, they are trying to incorporate fashion tech that appeals to that audience because they're seeing that these people are having a voice and utilizing that voice as opposed to the generations before them. So this
Yeah.
has changed things exponentially. Before now, brands would, just launch products and if so now more than ever, things like cancel culture have come into play where people can just get upset and say, oh, you're not serving me as a brand. I'm the customer. I'm the reason why you're here. You're here to serve me. And if you're not doing this, then I don't want you around. And they get the power to do that. Celebrities have also been cancelled. Here in Nigeria, there have been artists that have been once loved and then they did something, or people just got a perception of them doing something, and suddenly we're not hearing about them anymore. No one's going to their concerts anymore. They're just canceling people just like that. So in a generation that, as opposed to before, where companies or brands would launch products and market it, and everyone just takes anything that they're being sold as the trend. But here in this generation, people are defining what products mean. People are defining what they want, and um, in an era like this, companies are listening more and more to the public. So this is one of the things that we should look after. Social capital, it's going to blow exponentially, right? The amount of social influence, for example, social credits that you have might be equal to, just regular credit. Like I told you about like everything that has been happening so far with me as well. So as a result of the social capital that I've built over time, and even I don't think that I manage that well with the busy schedule we're having and all of those things. And I think that's why we're supposed to, or rather, why I would advise that we focus on things like that. I mean, it's easy for us to get lost in making money, etc., etc. But essentially, social capital is what leads to all of that. It leads to building financial capital. It leads to um, getting human capital, etc., etc. It all goes down to social capital at the end of the day.
Amazing. Yes, and I think the power of the voice, especially with social
Yes.
media and digital marketing, has really risen, and it's not only for, let's say, fashion, it's politics, it's environment, it's climate. People are really using these interfaces from, let's say, isolated locations to a collective voice, which was, like you said, wasn't there
Mhm.
before. And I think that's where digital marketing has such a strong hold on the presence of creating any service or brand today, because that's the way that
Mhm.
it'll reach the desired user that a brand is looking for. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Violet, for this very interesting chat. How do people get reach out to you?
Thank you for having me here. Oh, yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as Violet Benson and on X, formerly Twitter, as Phygital Violet, um, or via email. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's like where you get all details about me. But yeah, thank you for having me on here. And I'm
No,
super excited to be a role model rebel.
yes, we're very happy to have you as a role model championing us through. And yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure our viewers would be very excited to see this interview. Thank you.
Yes, yes.